All right, guys, we are back. Next, it is going to be Ruin versus Innovation, the winner's match. Wolf, what do you think of that?
Well, for me, I feel like these two are the high favorites to get out of the group, so it's just kind of the way of things. So it's probably going to be the best match in the group, in my opinion, is the one we're about to watch here. I really feel like the group, or rather this series, will be decided on how Innovation decides to play it and how Ruin responds.
Yeah, it's really kind of cool because I think Ruin is like really good strategically. I think he comes up with some really great and innovative builds, whereas Innovation just kind of does the same builds like perfectly over and over. But if he does that same build that he's been using, the 2-base all-in, I think that Ruin can scout it and have a counter ready.
Yeah,
I do think so.
I feel like Innovation, when he plays this match, when he gets this mindset, he's almost like an AI. You know, like the StarCraft 1 AI that will just like make 11 zealots and hit you really fast. Like when you're a noob, you don't know how to defend it, you don't have buffers up.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, how does he have that much stuff? Like I feel like that's like Innovation right now. He's just kind of like doing this really efficient build, defending everything that comes his way before that, and just coming out like an AI rather than a person. So we got to see if Ruin can deactivate the robot here.
Well, we will see. We're going to start first game on Overgrowth. Same map that we just saw in that last one. Down in the bottom left of our map, our Protoss player, he is.
Ruin.
And up here at the top right in red.
Spacer Innovation.
Got really scared there for a second when I saw that probe move down for Ruin. I thought he was going to go like gas before pylon. I'm like, whoa.
Gas before pylon. There was a build for that once a long time ago.
Was it a DT rush?
It was. Oz did it in a PvP.
Oh, that's right. I remember
and hit it in his natural. And I was like, what? It was really cool because if the Protoss doesn't click on your gas and just sees your gas timing, everything looked pretty normal. So it was like a tricky little thing.
I gotta say, Oz, I don't know how much of the GSL Global Tournament you really caught there at the end, but Oz actually played quite well for being outside of Korea for so long.
He's a very talented player.
Then he had a really
smart guy.
He had a really good run in Pro League as well, and you know, the player I was impressed the most of, by the way, because sometimes Koreans, when they go overseas, their skill, I don't want to say like it deteriorates, but they're not practicing with the best players in the world for quite some time, and it's really interesting how they do when they come back. But San is clearly over there in Taiwan doing quite well.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you get good ping from Taiwan to this server, the Korean server, because it's not actually the Korean server, it's the Korean-Taiwanese server.
Yeah, they're shared.
So, he's definitely still playing with some of the best in the world, and the Taiwanese have quite a few good players also.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say to ask you. Ruin's now joined a Taiwanese team, and it feels like the Taiwan scene is quite strong. I'd really love to see some, you know, possibly even some Taiwanese players try to fly over and compete in Code A and the qualifiers, you know?
We've had them occasionally pop over, one or two here and there. Of course, Sen, the big one that everyone will remember and think about. But, you know, the thing is they've had a televised league out there for a very long time.
Yeah.
They've had some extremely strong players out there for a very long time. And the fact that they're recruiting some of the more famous and more talented guys like San, Lee Nok, Ruin, stuff like that, I feel like that's going to bring a little bit more eyes to it and say, oh, wait, this is actually a very good league over here.
Yeah, you know, I'm hoping that one day we get some really good coverage of that, you know, in English perhaps.
Yeah, well, I think there has been some more going up. I know Breaker's been doing a little bit of casting with that.
Yeah, he certainly has.
And, you know, TESL working hard to spread that. So something for the future.
For sure.
Something to be excited about.
Well, this Reaper's actually maybe going to get a kill here. Yep. Oops. Still a little bit slow on that probe pull. Almost ties, though, in exchange. And with this fast eBay, Artos, it's starting to look like we're going down the same path here.
It definitely could be. But there are a lot of builds, macro builds, where you start out with that as well. So I guess we wait and see on that. But what does Ruin do? Because Ruin has to play here assuming that Innovation will do that build. So he has to, like, okay, he's going to open with a Stargate. Not actually what I would have chosen, unless, you know what I would love to see, the very old build, Oracle into Psystorm. That is an old build.
We could see that. I doubt we will, but, you know, it could be just that he feels like he's going to do a lot of damage to this Oracle. I feel like things just didn't quite go Hurricane's way when he did the Oracle build. Not even necessarily like his main mistake or really a build mistake. It just kind of got caught. Maybe he's not as experienced using Oracles on that map because he didn't really understand the dead space back there. I feel like this could do a lot better than it did on that map.
Okay. What would you suggest to him if he thinks it's going to be the same build?
Whoa! Wow, that was really...
But what would you suggest to him? Does he make less Phoenixes, the same Phoenixes, or more Phoenixes?
I actually would say just go one Oracle and then just transition out of Stargate entirely. Use the Oracle to scout around and just cut Phoenixes, go into Robo right afterwards. I mean, it's a huge investment in gas, but it gives this constant pressure and it gives us extra scouting that we can use the Oracle as long as he doesn't lose it to confirm what's coming next and just go into the Robo from there. And it keeps the threat of maybe Phoenixes coming out. Innovation has to be ready for that. He has to try to figure out what's coming next. He's maybe a little bit wary of doing some drops after this because he's not sure if there are Phoenixes lurking at home.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's a fine answer. Here we do see Ruin actually taking an extremely quick third base, and this actually can be a good counter to what Innovation was doing. You know, with the, I guess, the more normal move-out timing builds where you're not powering quite as hard as Innovation here.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to pressure this a bit more and maybe bust through it, but I don't foresee him being able to bust through this base. I think that this build with the quick +1 attack, the slow stim, and the kind of slow medevacs comparatively, I don't think he's going to kill the third right away.
Yeah, I don't think so. The Nexus will be finished so early that a Nexus cannon could go down, you know. That's pretty key. This Oracle only gets one kill, but again, I really like this choice to just make the one, poke around. You know, a Stargate is... You know, it's very expensive what he's done here, and it's now kind of useless for the rest of the game unless we go into some weird Tempest situation, but that never happens unless you're playing in, like, against MMA or something who turtles, but... yeah, I like this build a lot. It's really underrated. It's just so scary. There's always the threat of the Oracle.
Like, yeah, I mean, Oracle builds are really nice. If you feel comfortable opening them, it's pretty fantastic. And I think he's going to get more damage throughout the game. And just the fact that you force turrets is pretty awesome. You they have to change their building placement. There's all sorts of cool things.
Yeah, the turrets as well as the building placement you talked about is almost enough to pay for the rest of that gas used on the Stargate.
Well, he's adding a lot of gateways. Of course, he's got that Twilight. You don't want to go directly into Colossus after such a quick third Nexus most of the time. Going for gateway units is going to really use your economy a bit better. And with Blink on the way, he's going to have a pretty big and strong army to hold anything that's incoming.
This reminds me of Parting's old double expand build, where he just does a double expand off low low gateways, and then just explodes off of those 3 bases, gets a ton of gateways out. And then oftentimes even counter pressures with that to keep the Terran off his back. Yeah. It's a really cool build from back in the day, kind of an updated version here. Yeah, with Blink.
Now, I'm afraid for Innovation. He's adding a second starport. He's going for the 5 Raxes again, of course. He's kind of hidden those 5 Raxes from where the Oracle's likely to poke in. Try to, a little bit of disinformation, but probably will be able to scout it anyways. But my point being, he's getting the second starport.
He's doing all this blind, man. Like I said, he's playing like an AI.
Yeah, and the second starport, like, he's starting Vikings. If he makes 2 Vikings, that's fine. If he starts making more Vikings than that, Ruin is going to hold this.
He hasn't seen that Ruin has skipped Colossi. He hasn't even seen the 3rd base. He scans now. And
he's a lot of gateways.
Now he's like, uh-oh. Okay, starts medevacs immediately instead.
Okay, there you go. That was a very important scan. He's figured out what's going on. We do have the Templar Archives coming up right now for Ruin, but I think already he's made enough right decisions against Innovation that he should be feeling like pretty confident in holding anything that comes.
Excellent force fields here. Maybe he can pick off a medevac. He could blink, and he does. A few more reinforcing Marines, though, make that a bit of a questionable decision. I think he was comfortable with the Nexus Cannon.
Yeah, the Nexus Cannon I think was totally fine. Maybe a little bit too aggressive there pushing forward, though.
Now, that second starport does give Innovation a lot of extra medevac power. He can actually go into 3 medevacs at a time if for some reason he loses medevacs here and there. He scans the Templar Archives, and that's going to make him, think about getting ghosts here. Do you think he'll actually try to do 2 base with like the 3 ghost push?
I think it's too late to make a command center. Now that he's figured out the 3rd is there, if he makes the command center, he loses this game. He has to go all in. Ruin will have everything under the sun by the time a third command kicks in for Innovation. So he's going to do something here. Does he pull his SCVs? Does he try to get a Ghost? I don't think he's even going to try to get a Ghost, to be honest.
It hasn't been really, I mean, based on how he's played earlier, it doesn't seem to be his style. That 3 Ghost push is great against Storm, but if you can hit before Storm, then you don't really have to worry about that, I suppose. Storm isn't even started here. Upgrade-wise, Ruin is also just now hitting his +1. He's not, you know, halfway through +2 or anything like that. This is something that Innovation can do by see by clicking on these units as well. And that might actually trigger an attack here. I think he's pulling the SCVs right now. This is the moment. This is the time.
Oh, are those? Yep, you're right. The SCVs, they are coming, and this really can help out. Let's not forget, he's going to have 2-1 against 1-1. And, you know, there are 2 Archons here. He's got to be careful about them killing his own force fields if he needs those defensively.
Right, and he needs to make sure they're, you know, they actually get some hits off on those SCVs. Trying to fight the bio with them is going to be quite a challenge.
And, you know, with 10 medevacs, that is a lot of healing power. In fact, 11 now, and more on the way.
All right, where are the force fields here? Is he just going to try to engage us without it? I think that would be a mistake. He's losing one of his Archons so early here, barely survives. And now he's just going to fight this straight up.
Oh, those force fields are not any good. Those were like really, really bad. Those helped Innovation there. Realistically, he shouldn't have engaged at that point. I think he had to give that 3rd base up.
Yeah, well, now he's just going to try to fight here. He needs to bring those Archons down to actually do that extra damage to that bio. I think it's a bit too late here. He's already doubling the army supply. Innovation is just going to crush this. Playing like a robot, man, but it's well programmed.
Dude, robots are the future. Haven't you seen Terminator?
Exactly, man. This Warpin right here is just going to die as it finishes. GG.
Mech is the best, all right? And Innovation is a mech unit. All right, so it was well done by Innovation. That scan was really money so that he could cancel Vikings out and make medevacs instead. He had to still go with the all-in, and it ended up working out. The engagement by Ruin was really, really poor. I'm not sure how that went because the battle ended up looking completely one-sided, but we have to remember he used up his Nexus cannon and his Mothership Core energy, so we weren't seeing like great time warps. He lost a bunch of units running into that location. He used force field energy that didn't do anything. Like, that was a really poor engagement at the 3rd base by Ruin.
I feel like he had 2 choices and he wasn't sure exactly which one to do, and he kind of did half of one. He had the choice to either use all, because he only had 3 sentries. He could have used all of his force energy to buy time and get a few more weapons in, but he wouldn't have any force fields during the fight, or use his force fields during the fight. He decided to use his force fields during the fight, but he did it so haphazardly it didn't really help him there.
Yeah, and you know what? In a situation where you have that many charge lots, a lot of times you don't even want force fields during a fight. Even the best Protoss in the world, we oftentimes see throw down force fields that actually hinder their Zealots.
Yeah.
So I actually would have liked him to either stall out there or even stall out somewhere else. Just pull your probes and say, okay, you have this Nexus. This choke is too thin.
Yeah. Well, King Stage on Station, a pretty good map pick against the style that we're seeing from Innovation. It's pretty tough to actually attack this location. There's so many choke points you can use force fields with to stop that 3rd base from going down. And defending on the natural is even easier. If you actually decide to pull the probes like you were talking about, it's super easy to hold something like this in the natural.
Yeah, that's right. Going up that ramp can be very tough. But again, Innovation, like if he does hit that 3rd base, he's going to have such an arc on the side that he's on that you can't attack through that arc. Yeah. You have to have a very different type of engagement with a gateway-based army like that.
Would like to see a Storm Rush this time of some sort. Get Storm out really fast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, Storm obviously going to be something that works out very well against that build. But the way that he opened up, I did really like the way that he opened up there with the Oracle into the really quick 3rd base. It wasn't scouted for a bit. He had a ton of units. But yeah, he went into those Archons instead of trying to get that Storm out. Because, like, let's say instead of that money on Archons, right, because he made 2 right away, so that's 600 gas. What if he started Storm and made 2 or 3 High Templars, pulled out of the 3rd, delayed with force fields? Then he has Storm against that army, and we all laugh.
I think he actually made, maybe this is like a bit, I don't know, I feel like he may have made too many Stalkers, and Blink was completely useless. I think maybe getting Charge earlier or skipping both to get a faster Templar Archive to try to rush Storm out and get Storm and Charge at the same time. Because if he scouts like he has, it looks like Innovation isn't going to be pressuring him early with drops. Blink isn't going to be too important. Maybe skip that. Because it's been Innovation style to drop a little bit, but on this map you've got your Stalkers ready in the main base. Otherwise, there's not really going to be any drops at the 3rd or at the natural. Okay. So Blink, I feel like, and a lot of Stalkers that he made there didn't really help him too much with them. Maybe seen just, you have 4 less Stalkers and you got Storm a little bit faster.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he definitely should have gotten Storm a bit faster when we look at the actual result of that game. Maybe a little bit of mis-scouting at times there as well. Like, he was macroing well and getting a lot of units, but I feel like when you scout, like, there's a certain moment where it's going to click in your head when they have, like, 5 barracks and they're starting their second starport before a third command center. You're like, oh, okay, you're completely all in here. Yeah. I only need to hold 1 attack. Yeah, so maybe Ruin won't be able to fix that this game. Definitely, that build that he did, I don't think that that is a super practiced build that he does. Yeah. I think he probably plays a more robo-centric style. That's what we've seen from him in the past. Exactly. But he's like trying to adapt to what he's seen from Innovation.
Yeah, and I like to see that at least the wheels are turning in that regard. He's definitely thinking about what's going on. He's not playing blind here. By the way, you guys can go ahead and subscribe to the GOMEXP channel on YouTube, where we're putting up VODs. Like, a lot of previous seasons have been completely uploaded. I know a lot of people are wondering about the old GSL seasons. A lot of those are being uploaded right now as well, I've been told. So there's going to be a lot more VODs from like the past. There's already a lot of good highlight videos from even like the Marine King versus Nest T Grand Finals and stuff like that to go watch on that YouTube channel. There's a lot of cool content back there.
Yeah, there certainly is. A lot of good old highlights.
Yeah,
in there.
I really miss
fun times.
I miss some of those old times as the game was being developed, and I know Heart of the Storm hasn't been out that long yet, but I'm still
over a year now.
Yeah, I'm still super excited for Legacy. I've got a lot of high hopes, and I think Blizzard's going to deliver on this one. So
I wonder what is going to change. It's actually very interesting what they could change because you can't just keep adding units.
Yeah,
I think we'll probably get like maybe 1 new unit for each race.
I actually think a lot of units will be removed and a few units added here.
Like get rid of the battle cruiser and the carrier or something like that.
Well, I think maybe we could see even a removal of like some of our more normal units, like a Swarm Host could be removed, or perhaps even like the Immortals removed and replaced with something.
How about the Corruptor, the most boring unit in the game?
That I think is what everybody wants to see. The Corruptor gets replaced with Devourer, and Guardian comes back, and who knows?
That is a cool idea. The Devourer.
Think about that, Devourer in StarCraft II.
Imagine Devourers hitting Phoenixes. You kidding me? Oh, God, no, never mind. Let's not do that.
But if you remove the Broodlord, then suddenly things become really interesting. You've got Guardians actually sieging things up. You got, the protected by Devourers. It'd have to do really well against Void Rays, though.
But wouldn't the Guardian just, I guess they'd have to buff its stats because it's strictly worse than the Broodlord at the moment.
Yeah. And they'd have to make Devourers really good, and you'd have to deal with Void Rays. This is why I'm not a game designer.
Yeah. I don't want to play any game that you make, Wolf.
All right, it looks like whatever problem that we're having was resolved. We're going into game number